It's the next level.
I'm worried, Ray. It's getting crowded in there, and all my recent data points to something big on the horizon.
What do you mean, the big?
Well, let's say this Twinkie represents the normal amount of psychokinetic energy in the New York area. According to this morning's sample, it would be a Twinkie 35 feet long, weighing approximately 600 pounds.
That's a big Twinkie.
We could be on the verge of a fourfold cross rip, a PKE surge of incredible, even dangerous proportions.
We just had a visit from the Environmental Protection Agency. How's the grid holding up?
It's not good.
Tell them about the Twinkie.
What about the Twinkie?
Welcome to another chapter of Still Afraid of the Dark from the Next Level Network. I am one of your hosts, Rob Martin, also from the Caffeine Crew cast of pods in DC Primetime. Joining me, as always, is Ben Beck.
Also from... Not from the Caffeine Crew cast of pods. Oh, sometimes from the Caffeine Crew cast of pods.
Sometimes from the Caffeine Crew cast of pods.
Sometimes from the Caffeine Crew cast of pods. Well, I'll say from DC Primetime on the Next Level Podcast Network, as well as a number of other podcasts, as are you. But yes, thank you for the introduction, as always.
So also joining us today for this chapter is from also sometimes the Caffeine Crew cast of pods, good old Bill.
Also, mostly only the Caffeine Crew cast of pods. I don't think I've been on anything else.
That's true. This is your first time on any other Next Level show. So so this one's done a little bit differently. So like I said, obviously this is, I think as you guys are hearing, this will be chapter 3, I think.
Yes, chapter 3.
This will be chapter 3.
This will be chapter 3.
It's weird because we record this out of order, so it doesn't make it easy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is chapter 3. But this one was going to be a fun one, though, because it's two really great family-friendly films. So the ones that we're going to talk about today are Ghostbusters and Casper, or as we like to call it, The Tale of Unfinished Business.
Yes. Is that the... I kind of have a feeling we should do Casper before Ghostbusters.
I think so. I think we can do it that way. But I think that's a great title for this one.
I think it's a perfect title for this one.
Yeah.
So because we were trying to come up with that earlier, and I think we came up with like the tale of the ghost was too plain.
Yeah.
But Unfinished Business.
But after watching Casper, I'm like, yeah, that's perfect.
Yep.
That's so it just fits that. It's just exactly.
And there
right.
actually is a connection between the two films.
There really is. But before we get into that, though, we have to talk about the drink that we're enjoying today, which is Ecto Cooler.
Surprise.
And not Ecto Cooler in the way of where there was the revival a couple years ago and we had a couple hanging around, because we do still have some hanging around thanks to Ben.
Yeah, I bought in overabundance when it was re-released.
Right. So the question is, how good does it last for?
Actually, it still tastes pretty good. I had one the other day.
Oh, fair.
Yeah.
Well, the drink that we're having is actually not legit Ecto Cooler. This is more of the adult version. So what is included in this drink is just standard lemonade. You can use anything from Country Time to just a normal kind of store-bought. Make sure it's more of the sweeter variety versus the more bitter. But in addition to that, though, too, the odd one in there is orange tangerine juicy juice. And make sure to specifically use orange tangerine juicy juice.
Which, for people who weren't aware, Ecto Cooler was basically orange tangerine high C.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but this is really, again, the closest thing you're going to find is a mixing agent. Next, you're going to use a clementine vodka and just a splash of blue curacao. So pretty much, I think it's 6 parts juicy juice to 2 parts lemonade to 3 parts vodka to a splash of blue curacao. Throw that through a shaker, and you should have a wonderfully nice, perfect colored, kind of Slimer-esque colored drink that tastes exactly like classic high C Ecto Cooler. You can check out on the Next Level Facebook page. You'll see how to make the drink specifically. You can kind of follow along. But if you have any questions on that, you can always just reach out to us and just message us through Facebook, and we can kind of help guide you through that drink along with any of the other drinks so far from Still Afraid of the Dark. But before we go into anything else, I'm going to actually kick this over to Ben to get us started on our conversation today.
Yeah, so 2 titles that we're going to be talking about this week, as Rob had mentioned at the top, are the 1995 Casper with Bill Pullman and Christina Ricci, and of course the 1984 classic Ghostbusters with Bill Murray, Harold Ramis, Dan Aykroyd, and Ernie Hudson. Johnson, as well as a number of other co-stars that are in there as well. There might be discussion as we talk about that breaking into Ghostbusters 2 and possibly the reboot that happened a couple years ago. But for the most part, we're going to focus more just on the first film for now. So I think a good place to start it off would be with Casper with 1995. I mean, it's the newer of the two movies, but I feel like of the two, it's the more family-friendly, and then we can also use the connection between Casper and Ghostbusters to kind of take us into the conversation about Ghostbusters.
Absolutely. I think that's a really good place to start. So we're like I said, we usually kind of kick this off to our guests first. So Casper, when was the last time you've seen this movie, or have you ever seen this movie before, Bill?
So I had never seen Casper before. I watched it last night in preparation for this, and it was fun. I liked it. I really enjoyed it. You forgot one of the best actors.
The
in the entire
cameos?
movie. Well, Brad Garrett.
Well, that was something I was going to talk about too. Is that he is he's not a cameo character. No. He's definitely a full blown character, but there's no mistaking that voice.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Any character that Brad Garrett voices, there's no mistaking that voice. And out of the three ghosts, he is the most well-known of all three of the actors. Because I looked that up, too. The other two have done voice work before, but none of them have really done anything live action since. It's all mostly voice work. Brad Garrett's pretty much the most successful out of all of them. I thought you were going to mention another cameo that I forgot to talk about last night. But we'll talk about that scene in a bit.
I'll talk more about the movie. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Even though it's a family friendly movie, and I'm not so much into family friendly movies nowadays as back when I would have seen it for the first time if I watched it back in 1995.
95.
It was fun. It was a fun time, although it did seem it took a while to get going.
A little bit, I would say. It's probably a good, maybe 20 minutes, I think, until they move into the house.
Even when they move into the house, I'm like, wait a minute, okay, what are they doing? And I'm looking at the time, I'm like, I'm an hour in, and I'm like, wait a minute, where are we going with this?
I will say there are a couple things, because I rewatched it as well last night.
Wait a second. You mean the whole, let's burn the deed and whips that doth a treasure hold wasn't enough for you?
No. I mean, it was like, okay, great. They're going to go to this house. They get to the big house. They get scared. They hire, the psychologist, Bill Pullman, who was fantastic. I love him
Bill Pullman.
Everything.
This was like the massive resurgence of his career.
Well, you figure shortly after this was Independence Day.
Right.
Independence Day was 97.
Yeah.
He had While You Were Sleeping with Sandra Bullock. He had Spaceballs, which I think was shortly before. Well before Casper. That was late 80s. I think.
This was that stir back up where it's kind of he was kind of became like a Hollywood go to at this point in time. But it was, and same with Christina Ricci. I mean, this was just that cycle for the two of them where it was kind of bang bang bang, hit after hit after hit. But yeah, that was fun though with that stuff. I think it was a great right off the bat, amazing cast. So.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm looking Independence Day, Mr. Wrong, Fallen Angels, Lost Highway, Lake Placid. Yeah, he was in a good time of his career at that time. Wyatt Earp, he was doing a lot of stuff around that time.
Yeah.
So, but he's always been a fantastic actor. He's one of those ones. It doesn't matter what he's in. I enjoy what he does. Even in the minute role he played playing Dina Davis's husband in A League of Their Own.
Oh yeah.
It was a small role, but he's great in everything you put him in. And he's still, to this day, my favorite movie president. From President Whitmore in Independence Day.
Yeah.
I can quote that speech, and I usually do every year on 4th of July.
It's tough to beat Dave and...
Chris Klein and Dave.
Kevin Klein.
Or Kevin Klein.
Kevin Klein,
yeah. Chris Klein, yeah.
He's a great president as well.
Yeah, that's true.
So is Terry Crews, though. In
President Camacho? Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
One of the tops by all stretch of the imagination.
But I mean, in addition to Bill Pullman, you mentioned Christina Ricci, and of course, you can't really go wrong with anything with Eric Idle.
Right.
I mean, Eric Idle was a fantastic addition to this. He added so much levity, so much comic relief to the film. Even now, I've seen the movie a number of times, and rewatching it last night, there were scenes with him that still make me laugh. When his thumb is on fire, and he starts beating his thumb to kind of put out the fire.
Oh, man, it's very, very much that traditional, slapstick over the topness that he really portrays throughout this, which is fun. I mean, I think we've gotten so far away from it. I mean, like I said, you look at it, this film now, I mean, it's definitely feels dated. I mean,
It feels dated a little bit,
But not-
it didn't
not terrible.
Feel, it didn't feel terribly dated to me.
yeah. I mean, like oddly enough, I would say they still the ghosts actually still played fairly well
Yeah.
to watching it now, which was surprising,
Yeah.
especially for something from '95. I mean, you know, we're that was the time that we're like, we're going to use CG, and everybody's like, please don't. That's kind of where we were at that point in time.
Yeah, very true.
So I agree with all the ghosts, in terms of the CG for the ghosts, except for, and this will be a bit of a spoiler for Bill Pullman's ghost towards the end. I was watching his ghost, and I'm like, oh, this feels bad.
Well, because when you look at the other three ghosts and you look at Casper, they're basically just white ghosts. There's
They're-
no clothing or
They're
anything like that.
cartoon ghosts, and they're the ghosts that we remember from the Casper, cartoons.
Yeah.
And I loved the Casper cartoons growing up. Like, I watched them all the time. And this really, seeing Casper as a CG ghost was still fantastic. I was like, that's the Casper I remember. Like, it was spot on for what I remember as the cartoon.
I was very surprised we never really got a sequel. Like they had like kind of a spin-off, if memory serves correctly, where they did like didn't they do like another direct like DVD movie or something
I think
like
they
that?
did, yes.
But it was like they used like a cartoon variant on the Ghost that time versus using CG. But I was really surprised that this never spawned into like Casper meets Wendy, things like that, like which kind of felt like.
Actually, I think there was a Casper and Wendy
But I
movie
think
that came out.
But I think it's like I think it was kind of like a more animated kind of affair versus like a big Hollywood production.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean,
Yeah.
I think if there was anything, it was
Well, the mid '90s were the land of direct to DVD. Like that was.
Yep.
and that's what Casper: A Spirited Beginning, which was a prequel, was 1997, and that was a direct-to-video release.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. So. But yeah, I mean, like I said, one of the things I do still thoroughly love, though, is that there's that Tex Avery-ness to this. It feels like this is the best way I can put it. Like it's not quite Merry Melodies, it's not quite like a classic Disney cartoon, but there's that Tex Avery-ness. I think all over the way that the ghosts emote, which is really fun. Like when you think of like kind of like the bugged out eyes, the stretched out jaws, all those little things, they just have so much fun playing with those concepts over and over and over. And I think that's one of the things that kind of holds up the most for me. Is the way that they play them as these wonderful kind of functional cartoons. So
It's funny because in my rewatch of both movies, as I did for this episode, there's actually something I've noticed for the first time in both films. There's something I picked up on in Ghostbusters, which we'll talk about when we get to that point. But there's actually something I came across this time watching Casper that I never came across before, and that for the first time they actually reveal Casper's last name. You know his last name in this movie. It's never mentioned, but you see it. There's a moment where Christina Ricci is in the attic and she comes across all the boxes and the crates, and she wipes her hand across the box, and it says the family name in the box when she opens it up and finds his things.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
his last name is McFadden. His name was Casper McFadden. And I don't think it's ever revealed in the cartoons what his last name is, but the film gave him a last name.
Yeah.
They made him a real person at one point or another.
He's a real boy now.
he is he is a real boy for a second or two.
Yes.
by the end of the movie.
And of course, the person that they picked to play the real boy
Devin
was also like the teen bop love interest in, like, he was the actor that everybody loved in that time, that all the girls loved, was Devin Sawa.
Well, this was his first big foray
Yeah.
into anything, and then like later we saw him in things like Idle Hands, Final Destination, and things like that, and he kind of became like one of those big it kind of characters for
Yeah.
a while. I mean, it was a quick rise and a quick fall, but I mean, Devin Sawa was a big go-to person for quite some time.
Yeah, and Idle Hands is completely different than anything.
Oh my God.
it's a great movie, but it's
Maybe next year
completely
we'll talk
different.
about PG-13 Halloween films.
Yeah, well, I think we're kind of already to that point with Ghostbusters, because there was some adult things in Ghostbusters.
I mean, there are, but there's stuff that's easy to be able to look past.
yes,
I mean,
as a kid, you don't know what it is, so you completely look past it.
right.
Yeah.
I like to say that it's a lot of the Disney adult humor, where in every single.
Well, there's one scene in Ghostbusters that's not Disney.
Oh, I know. I definitely know. I've been rewatching Ghostbusters. I was like, wow. I watched all this stuff when I was a kid, and my parents never took this away
Yep,
from me.
exactly.
What the hell?
I mean,
but
all I have to say is just, let's think about Who Framed Roger Rabbit for just a second.
oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah,
I mean, there's a gag that they cut out of that has not been in subsequent releases of that film for a very long time.
Yeah.
Which is the nice booby trap line, and that has not been in any release in a
That's
long,
right.
long time.
But as an adult too, rewatching Casper, there's a couple things that I noticed that I kind of put into question as an adult. First and foremost, we see that we see Bill Pullman on hard copy. There's a nice little blast from the past of hard copy. As a ghost psychiatrist, and he sees a ghost for the first time in Casper, which gives me the thought that he was actually a fraud before that.
Well,
'Cause
I
he'd
mean,
never seen a ghost.
He's
until
very
Casper.
very focused that his wife is that. But I think the way that he treats it seriously, and believes that he's convening with things around him that are not actually there, and that's what I think boils
Okay, so he's
down
not
to.
necessarily a fraud, but he's getting more of a.
He comes off like a charlatan, but
Right.
he's not a charlatan. He's never actually seen something, but he believes something else is there.
Okay.
Because even when he is confronted with them, it's the shock, but then immediately he's just kind of like
He does. He kind of steps right into it. He's
steps-
like, I'm going to be the psychiatrist now.
yeah, it's so I think it's a weird kind of twist and take on it. Like you can definitely read into it in multiple ways, but you believe that the way he's doing it is maybe just not as above water as you think. And I think there's a little bit of that, but at the same time, you can kind of understand where he could be coming from.
Yeah.
So
The other thing I did notice, though, as an adult rewatching the movie, too, is by the end of the movie, Bill Pullman and Christina Ricci are squatters.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they do not own that house. It belongs to Kerrigan, and Kerrigan is gone. It was never left to them. They are basically squatters in that house by the end of the movie, which is a weird thing to think about. Like, they do not have any right to that house or to live there. But who's going to stop them?
Casper gave them that right. It's his house.
well, I forget.
But in the eyes of the court, the deed is gone.
this was Maine, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we just have to look up squatters' rights in Maine, and really that's what it
Exactly.
boils down to.
But I mean, again, who's going to question it? Like, everybody knew they moved into that house. Nobody's going to question that they don't really belong there.
Oh, yeah.
So, but it's a weird thought to think about. Like, wait, they're squatters now. Like, they don't belong in that house.
This is the fact that nobody else wanted that house.
True.
So Kerrigan didn't even want that house. She was just like, I just want my money.
Yeah, exactly.
I want my treasure.
I want my treasure. Yeah, but I mean, in addition to obviously Bill Pullman, Christina Ricci, as Kat and Dr. Harvey, and you mentioned Brad Garrett and the other ghosts, there are a huge number of cameos.
Oh,
in this
before you
film.
get into that,
Okay.
why don't you go into, because for some other people, because I don't know who the person you're talking about, I can't picture the voice actor that you're talking about at all.
Brad Garrett?
Yeah.
Everybody Loves Raymond.
The brother?
He's the brother in Everybody Loves Raymond.
Oh, yeah. Okay, never mind. Gotcha. But like I said, but you never specified who he played. So
He played.
he was Fatso, but
Fatso, yeah.
right. But it's as you guys were discussing it, never actually mentioned it, and I'm like sitting there doing the mental gymnastics, like, what are you guys talking about?
Yeah, he plays Fatso. Joe Nipoli was, I just had it, was Stretch, and Joe Alasky was Stinky. Joe Nipple is the name, not Nipoli. Sorry. Nipote. He is the one who actually hasn't done much of anything since Casper. He was known for a bunch of other things, and ever since Casper, he's done a lot of voice work, but it's mild, a lot of video game stuff.
Okay.
Since then, the other one was Joe Alasky, and he has done some more notable work.
I was going to say that name rings a bell a little bit.
Yeah, but he's also another voice person. He voiced Green Lantern in Lego Batman 3. He's done Tom and Jerry, Garfield. So he's another pretty big voice actor. But he's also done some other TV series as well. But so I mean, it's good.
Wait a second. Hold on. You said Garfield? I got to look up something when we're done because I think my brain just put a connection.
Because what are you thinking?
Binky the Clown?
No, it just says he did additional voices.
Okay.
So
I'm wondering I wonder if he actually does Binky. That would be hysterical because I could hear it in my head. I don't know. We'll see.
yeah, but that was also the newer version of Garfield. I'm actually
okay, then probably
from 2008. But I'm
Disappointing.
I'm actually going through. I want to see if maybe you might possibly be right.
No, I don't think it is. I think I know the voice on that one, but
But he's done the voice of Daffy Duck. He's done the voice of Sylvester, Tweety Bird. He's done a lot of Looney Tunes voices.
Okay.
So yeah, but he's definitely he was a seasoned voice actor and still is to this day. So
you were mentioning cameos, and man, this movie does not waste any time. Like right off the bat, like which is a deep cut, especially to newer people that a lot of folks may just not know, but is old classic SNL character,
Yes.
Father Guido Sarducci coming in, and
it's a no problem.
That's why I recognize it. I was like, I'm looking at this. I'm like, why do I know this? Why should I know this? And I didn't know it.
Yeah, actor Don Novello is the one.
Don
who did.
Novello, and that was a character that was like big, like mid late '80s. It was like it was. When,
Father Guido Sarducci.
Yeah.
That's a big.
Because I remember as a kid like seeing that, and I'm like, I don't get it, but my parents lost it, and they thought it was the best when he showed up in that movie.
Well, he's also I know we have a couple fans of Atlantis, the Disney movie Atlantis. He was also a voice in Atlantis.
Yeah.
He was the voice of Vinny in Disney's Atlantis. So he's more. I think he's more known for Father Guido.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like if you see the church lady pop up somewhere, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's a church lady," and we're always like, "Well, it's Dana Carvey." You know, Dana Carvey. He's done a lot more than just the church lady or things like
and
that.
Garth, and
right?
like
Yeah.
But even before Father Guido, we get a cameo from Ben Stein.
Oh yeah,
in the beginning of the movie, he's the will reader.
Yeah. And
so-
it's funny too because I haven't thought about Ben Stein until I've watched this, and I'm like, "Oh my god!" And I was like, my brain was like, "I remember I used to watch a lot of When Ben Stein's
Me
Money
too.
way back in the day."
Yeah, I used to watch it all the time.
Yeah.
But even like Ferris Bueller's Day Off, you can go back
it was
to
a big
Ben Stein.
big role.
And I love that because it's his typical character. It's the yes, I'm going to speak in this monotone voice.
Knock yourself
now.
out. Yeah, it's great. So, but yeah, there's another small handful of cameos that they kind of throw into one particular scene.
Right, where we do see the ghosts kind of possess Bill Pullman for a second as he's looking in the mirror, and we see everything from the Crypt Keeper to Rodney Dangerfield, and then Clint Eastwood
And Mel Gibson.
that's right. Then Mel Gibson as well. That's right.
Which it was funny because I wanted to look to see if maybe this was footage that they pulled from other things.
Mm-hmm.
No, they actually got these actors to film these quick couple second
and we'll
things.
save the last cameo
Because that's going to be our tie-in to the next
correct,
one, obviously. Yeah. So, so we talked about the cameos. We talked about, the film itself. One of the things that made me realize when I watched this was actually my first introduction to the word Lazarus, because I had never really known. I had never heard of the Lazarus Pits before from Batman and such. So this was my first time ever really hearing that word, which obviously at the time when I heard it, I thought was something original. It was something they made to Gasper. And no, it's been used well before
Catholic school
Casper.
people.
Catholic school.
Yeah. Which I wasn't. So, I didn't know about that.
I was until I reached the age of reason.
But what are some other things about the movie that kind of stood out to you guys when you
honestly,
watched it?
I really thoroughly think the score is really forgotten about this film. There's some really stunning music in Casper. I think there's a couple more somber pieces that are great that I'll go back to and listen to right around this time of the year every year. You hear it play very specifically when we see Devon Sawa and Christina Ricci together when they're kind of during the party scene.
Mm-hmm.
Near the very end where they're both kind of floating, and they have that kind of the romance angle. But like the music that plays there was really kind of reminiscent of things like Edward Scissorhands and such. But it's really kind of just fantastic when you go back through and check it out. But that's one of my favorites personally. So I don't know about any of you guys.
And Bill, anything that really stands out from the movie?
I thought it was interesting how they had there were multiple angles from multiple kind of, I don't want to say big bads, but kind of antagonists. Because there was obviously, Carrigan, the main one, but Dibs, Eric Idle, was also kind of along for the ride.
A lackey, but
he was a lackey, but he tried to get into his own at the end.
He was the Iago of it all.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
The three ghosts were also kind of antagonistic for a while, but then they kind of turned around a little bit towards halfway through, and then there's all the kids at school, which kids picking on kids in school, that never gets old.
No, I mean it's a standard that's going to go. Unfortunately,
Hey, you're the new kid. Poke, poke, poke.
Yeah.
Which is great. Can't wait for when we talk about Hocus Pocus, because man, oh man, the bullies in that movie are something to behold.
yes, they are.
But with the three of them, I thought it was interesting how, I don't want to say it was a complex movie, but it was still a little bit more complicated than just a standard, hey, here's the thing that's happening and here's what our heroes need to do.
Hey, there's a treasure in this house.
Right.
Let's go find it and use these people as the focal point to just get the ghosts out so we can take the time we need to rip this place apart and find what we want. But you're right, though. There is a lot more to just that. It is finding, like, Dr. Harvey finding his wife was a huge key component that we barely even talked upon.
Yeah.
So there's that angle. The whole idea of essentially, Kat and Dr. Harvey both, constantly moving and finally trying to find a place and settle down roots, whether they're squatting or actually purchasing a home later. But I think, then you have Casper's complexes that he's dealing with.
Yep.
You have the Kerrigan of it all. I mean, yeah, you're right. There's a ton there. And then again, that's not even thinking about, I completely almost forgot about the school plot. Because oh yeah, that's a thing too.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a lot to it. One of the other things too that I thought was a great little twist, though, was the fact that it was Dr. Harvey. It was the last name because Harvey Comics. Harvey Comics is
Oh,
where
I never picked up on that. Yeah,
Casper and Wendy and all those characters came from.
I never put that together.
So I thought that was a nice little nod there that I picked up when I went through this watch.
Yeah,
So.
I gotta say some of my favorite moments of the movie too, the moments that still make me chuckle, are the interactions with Kat and the three ghosts. Batting back and forth the insults, like drop dead, too late, like the moments, like little things like that were always things that made me laugh. But the other thing that really stuck out to me too, and it really made me think about it from when this movie was popular and it first came out. I was midway through high school. I was about a freshman or a sophomore in high school when this movie came out. And the whole "Can I keep you?" was something that kids used all the time. It was like a new it was like a new little phrase that boyfriends said to girlfriends and girlfriends said to boyfriends in high school. It was cutesy high school talk at the time.
And now you're like, that's kind of it's multifaceted in all the wrong ways. Let's not use those phrases ever again.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I would also like to add Bay to that list though too, so it's fine because that just irritates me. That's really all it boils down to. But yeah, no, you're right. I completely forgot about that. Yeah, because that was used all the freaking time. And I think too, like for people like my age, Ben, your age, Bill, we're all right in that kind of same kind of bubble of ages. And I think for a lot of us though too, like for like hetero males like that are in our age bracket that grew up with like this massive crush on Christina Ricci from like watching her from Addams Family when you're at the exact same age, and then like you continuously watch through her career
to like Black Snake Moan now,
and you're like, and it's like it's kind of crazy when you watch that, and you're like, go back and you watch the movie, and you're like, how old was I during this? And then you're like, watching, like, oh yeah, it was exactly right at that time.
Yep.
I'm like, because you couldn't remember how that pieced together.
Yep.
But it's really funny going back and watching those things, like when you were infatuated with an actor, when you were that age at that point in time, and going back and you're kind of like, it's really funny. You're like, because it kind of puts you back in that mindset of like being like 13, 14 years old, and kind of like, that nostalgia kind of kicks in and kind of rockets you back through the past to present day. But
yeah.
It's always interesting to kind of go back to those things, especially. I think, you hear about that all the time with people going through and like listening to a boy band from like when they were growing up, and it transports them back at a certain point in time. And it's always done that for me with movies, whether it's been going back and watching Star Wars, like, oh my God, I feel like a kid again watching these things.
Yeah.
And it's kind of fun going back to things like these too, like Addams Family and all these Halloween movies that we're talking about. But Casper is the one that I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I could remember exactly where I was in my life. All those little pieces. Because that 1995, like entering junior high or like high school, like I think like right around where it was. But it's always so funny to kind of go and see where all those pieces line up, and then you kind of just again project yourself forward, and you're like, what is this person doing now? What is this doing now? And like you fall down those YouTube holes, and it's always kind of that's why I love doing this show so much.
Yeah, I've had fun doing it too.
It's so much fun to look at all these pieces. But again, like we talked about a couple weeks ago, it was Sleepy Hollow. And it was the same thing going to 1999 and looking at all these films, and it's so crazy to kind of see, how like these types of films kind of moved, and it goes from such a really sweet, simplistic story like Casper, and then like you get to like the one that's going to be airing next week, which is The House with the Clock in its Walls. I'm like, this is a really warped and twisted story. And it's funny, though, on how much that has changed, though, from like thinking like it's a simplistic 90s mentality to, almost being at 2020, on how much those kind of ideas can change for a kid's film or a family film.
I mean, we are throwing a lot at kids and kids movies or young adult movies nowadays. Yeah. Like, I haven't seen A House with a Clock in its Walls, but referring to other things, like the biggest, probably young adult thing in the last couple of years, Hunger Games. Like, that's huge and heavy and
young adult
all throughout. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's kids murdering kids.
Yep.
And you're like, huh? So this is different.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really funny though, because like it makes me wonder where these types of films are going to be in 10 years. Are we going to go back to a more simplified nature of like something like Casper that's just sweet, cute for like that family film, or are we going to kind of continue to tilt up because that's just the world we live in? So I'm kind of curious. So
I am too. There is kind of a creep factor to Casper.
So when she first arrives in her room and she's like, "Hey, I found my room," and Casper's like, "I've got a girl in my bed," and I'm just like, "Wait, what?"
Well, because I think Casper is only supposed to be at the most a 10-year-old boy who died of pneumonia. And then he becomes a real boy and ends up kissing a girl that's probably sophomore in high school. Like, there's a creep factor to that. Where she's maybe like 14, 15, and he's like 9 or 10.
Well, I mean, like I said, it's interesting, though, too, because the voice for Casper was not Devon Sawa, correct?
No, it was not.
No. It wasn't. So, but when they actually have the Devon Sawa version of Casper, they have somebody that's probably about 15 years old, 16 years old, probably about the same age as Christina Ricci around at the time, if memory serves correctly.
Yeah, like I said, I think 14, 15 was about the age of Christina Ricci at the time.
Yeah.
Maybe even older. She might have been playing younger, but I think the character of Kat was supposed to be like...
She was, you know what, I think she was 15, because I think she was 19 or 20 at Sleepy Hollow, which was 1999.
Yeah.
Because when we were doing research the other week for that, like I was looking at the age of Johnny Depp and all that, because one of the big things we talked about was like, it's a little weird, like when you look at the age bracket from all these people, and you're like, huh. Like,
well, I mean, I'm looking at it now. The guy that voiced Casper at the time of Casper was 14.
Oh, okay.
So maybe Casper was older. Maybe I always thought he was supposed to be a boy, not a teen. Like that was always my impression of Casper.
But then we also have to think about the intricacies of ghosts and age, because think about when, obviously, yes, he died as maybe like a 10-year-old boy, but how long has he been around since?
Well, if that's the case, he's probably much, much older than a 15-year-old.
Right.
And then it's probably like in his 90s at that point.
And his other three, his three ghostly roommates that are horrible and terrible and probably taught him many bad things.
Are the ghosts supposed to be his relatives?
I
thought they were his uncles.
His uncles?
I think they're the uncles.
So wouldn't it be weird that his uncles also died around the same time he did?
I mean, depending on what it is, I mean, like consumption, tuberculosis, things like that. They rip through, especially in New England.
Well, I know in the movie he died of pneumonia. Mm-hmm. So maybe it was at a time when you're right. There was no vaccines, and it could
also been like Spanish flu, something like that, or whatever. Yeah,
consumption or tuberculosis, especially in Maine. Like it's kind of funny, like thinking about a lot of these things, because like I've fallen in a deep hole with a show called Lore, which is an amazing thing where it goes through all these great concepts of all these urban legends and such. But like you get into some of these ones, and you forget how much of New England was just ravished by tuberculosis. So like it wiped out like large sections of families everywhere from like Massachusetts up north. Like, I mean, not just there, but I mean, just about everywhere.
Yeah.
But there's specifically, so I wouldn't be surprised if there was a tie to that. But I mean, like, they don't really peel back any of those layers.
No, they keep it kind of vague.
It makes me wonder if there's like something in like Spirit of Beginning, if they maybe nod to more of those things in those direct to DVD kind of ideas of where those characters kind of came out of. So.
Maybe it might be something interesting to look into.
Yeah.
To see. But I think that brings us to a good point to mention the final cameo that we didn't bring up and to lead us into the next movie, and that is we get a cameo of a Mr. Raymond Stantz from Ghostbusters running out of the house. Who are you going to call?
Somebody else.
So I mean, it's very clear too that Dan Aykroyd at the time had facial hair when he comes running out of the house. He had a mustache. He might have been in the middle of another project at that time that they just had him come in, film this quick cameo, and run out.
This feels like the last time we saw him in full Ghostbusters regalia on screen.
I think it is.
Yeah.
It might not be the last at this point because we do know there is another Ghostbusters film coming.
Right.
And it is a continuation of the 1984 Ghostbusters franchise. So there's a possibility. We don't know.
I mean, obviously, we know they played them in the video game, but I mean, is
in a live action,
actually a live action format where we're actually seeing him wear the classic suit with the proton pack, all that jazz.
Yeah.
I mean, it was fun to see that here, but like going back and I completely forgot about that scene, and when I saw it, I'm like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So,
but that leads us into 1984
no,
Ghostbusters.
we still have to rate this one.
Oh, that's right.
So the way we rate stuff on Still Afraid of the Dark is a quick, really simple, essentially thumbs up, thumbs down. It's either a thumbs up, which is a treat. If it's thumbs down, it's a trick. So, Bill, how do you rate Casper today?
It's a treat.
It's a treat.
Definitely a treat. Yep.
Any specific reasons on why? Do you just think it's still kind of a lasting film in general?
It's a lasting film. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was enjoyable. I wouldn't watch it every single day, but
for this time of the year, it's kind of a great kind of like jump back to kind of get in the Halloween spirit. Thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and share that. I'm going to go with a treat. I forgot how much fun this movie could be, and I'm greatly looking forward to kind of going back to this maybe a little bit more frequently in the future. I think this was the first time in about 15 years that I've seen this.
Oh, yeah. It's been a couple years.
But I think this is going to go back into my lineup for Halloween films, kind of going forward again.
Yeah.
So.
It's a treat for me as well. I mean, I think a lot of the movies, for the most part, because we're the ones that picked them to be part of this podcast when it comes to you and I, most of them are probably going to be treats from us. It's interesting to see our guests because we already know from the first episode, TJ gave Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark a trick because he was not crazy about the movie at all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's funny. We do have to kind of pick some weird ones, I think, now, because now we have to try to make it a little bit more, hey, is this going to be a positive experience for everybody or not?
And there are a couple of films that I have not seen in a long, long time that we're going to be rewatching. I mean, we have the Hocus Pocus Witches chapter that's going to be coming up soon, and I haven't seen The Witches in, probably like 20 years.
I very recently rewatched that, so it's perfect timing, and that's fresh. But, before we get into Ghostbusters, I mean, like, we can bring it up here real quick before we transition in. Because we haven't really discussed too much of the lineup.
Yeah.
So I know we've got coming up The Witches, Hocus Pocus. I think we're going to do Legend and Labyrinth.
Legend and Labyrinth is another one.
And then I know we're also going to be doing an episode with The Corpse Bride and
Nightmare
Before Christmas. But I know we have a couple other fun ones in there. I know we're going to sneak in Coraline and a couple other fun ones.
And we have an Addams Family chapter that we're going to be doing probably more towards the end.
Yeah.
Because we're going to be talking about the new film as that releases.
Yeah. So like I said, we got a lot of fun stuff still planned.
Yeah.
But why don't we take the time now? Why don't you take us back to 1984? To a little town called Manhattan.
A little town called Manhattan? Ivan Reitman directed Ghostbusters from 1984. There's been a sequel, there's been a spin-off, or not a spin-off, a reboot, in essence, since then.
And an amazing animated series.
Real Ghostbusters animated series, and a video game that is actually being remastered and re-released next month. In October, which I will be picking up because I actually really enjoyed it the first time around.
I have it on backwards compatibility.
The graphics are going to be updated in the new one too. So
just a little bit, not much.
Yeah.
But
I don't have it anymore, so I'm going to buy it again.
It's still fun. So.
But yeah, I mean,
do you still have to walk up the 50 flights of stairs in the new one?
Are you thinking of the old
no? Yeah, I'm
Sega
thinking of
Master System version.
I had
of
the old
Ghostbusters?
NES game where it was awful.
You had to move the car along the grid and follow the ghosts, and you had to drive and suck up ghosts for money.
Oh my god, there was a lot of older Ghostbusters games because there was Ghostbusters 1 and 2 from NES. Mm-hmm. There was the Ghostbusters from Sega Master System, which was different than the others. And then then we essentially have Ghostbusters 3, which is from the PC 360 PS3 generation. Also on the Wii, which was a very different game on the Wii, which is very cool. Yeah, because it's got a cartoon look to it, which is very different. So,
but I mean, you go back to this film, and obviously you have Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, who unfortunately passed away, and Ernie Hudson, and it makes me wonder watching this movie if these guys knew what this was going to create when they made this movie, or if this was just a movie they thought looked like a lot of fun to make, and they made it not realizing what it was going to become. Because this movie has become something that lives and will forever live in pop culture. I mean, there are people that have Ghostbusters clubs out there. You know, the video games, you had Wizard World just did a big Ghostbusters reunion, because you're talking about a movie that's 35 years old. You know, so, and they had a reunion, well, with Dan Aykroyd and Ernie Hudson. Bill Murray kind of does his own thing at this point. So
Because he can.
Because he can. I mean, he literally has no agent.
Yeah.
He has a phone number that you call to pitch a project. And when he listens to the voicemail, if he likes your project, he will call you back. And he's a party crasher, which I love. Like, just seeing him pop up in different people's pictures around.
Still
around the
an
country.
amazing documentary.
Yes, it is. What is it called again? I forget.
Oh, I would have to look it up. So
Yeah.
but yeah, no, it's such an amazing cast that I don't think could ever be replicated, because then not only just the main core members,
You've got Rick Moranis, Sigourney Weaver, Annie Potts.
they pulled all the right people all at the right times of their careers, and everyone just gave such awesome performances. Like, they were so much fun. Everybody you knew that was there, you could imagine the amount of time behind the sets of them just enjoying each other's company probably was just exceptional.
And you got to look at it too, that the chemistry between all these characters, with the exception of maybe Ernie Hudson, I think he was relatively new to that group. The chemistry that exists between them was already there.
Which with Ernie Hudson, that was fine, because it was just like, hey, I'm just here. I'm just doing a job.
Yeah.
Like, it was the perfect kind of chemistry for
his character.
His character, yeah.
Yeah, because you had Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd had already worked on SNL together. Bill Murray and Harold Ramis had done movies like Stripes and Everything Well,
And they were great
this.
friends,
Yeah.
before, they had a big falling out many, many years later. But, it was very interesting kind of watching all those pieces together. It was, but, I always felt bad, though. I don't know if it was anybody else here, but, like, I loved Winston's character, and he always felt like he got the shaft in everything.
Well, he even says that at one point in the movie. He's like, "This is not worth $11,000 a year." Like, and you think about that, and you're like, $11,000, like, well, it was 1984. That's probably pretty equivalent. But when you also look at that too, you look at when Ray pulls up in the ambulance and he's like, only cost me $4,600, and I'm like, I wouldn't pay $4,600 for that car now. I can't. Well, okay. Well, when you look at the car itself and what it means to pop culture, yes, you would. But if you found a car that was in that bad a condition, you wouldn't pay $4,600 for it. So I can't even imagine paying $4,600 for it then, which was even more expensive.
But I just feel like, I think, like I said, before we get into more of this, the traditional part, like, the reason why I kind of mean it, though, too, is not even just, like, what he's being paid, but, like, you think about even, like, when we get to Ghostbusters 2, it opens up with him basically being essentially a party clown. Wait, what's going on?
11,000 back in 1984 would only be 27,000 nowadays. So yeah, it was a really shit pay.
He got that's he got the shaft.
He needed that job.
Yes, he did.
But, like, like I said, what I kind of mean about it is, like, you kind of kick off, like, post Ghostbusters 1 into Ghostbusters 2 is, he's essentially a party clown.
Yeah.
But, like, then it gets to court and, like, nope, Winston's not important. We're just going to keep him cut out of the entire courtroom scene. I'm like, he was involved in that as well.
Yes, he was.
He was complacent.
How did he get out of this?
Yeah, I was like, seriously. But it felt like, it's like, we can just skip over Ernie Hudson's role. I'm like, I feel bad.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, man. He's part of the team.
Yeah.
So, but, like I said, he does come into the picture, though, very, very late into the first film. Like, it's probably about a good, like, hour
Halfway,
in.
yeah, I think about halfway in, he's
halfway
when he
marker.
comes in.
Yeah. But he also gives us the start of some of the best sequences of that movie, though, too.
If there's a steady paycheck in it, I'll believe anything you say.
But, like, the clip that we used in the start of this is the conversation in the car between him and Ray, the Twinkie.
That wasn't in the car. That was in the basement. Because Spangler was part of that, too. Spangler was the one that was actually talking about the Twinkie.
Yeah. Well, that comes up again. It initially comes up in the conversation when they're in the vehicle.
They're talking about Judgment Day in that.
Oh, okay.
There's no Twinkie. The Twinkie's only in the basement of the firehouse.
That's right. My brain's meshing them together. That's right. So
yeah. Well, one of the interesting things I really love about this movie is, we were obviously kids when this movie came out. I was 5 years old. So, we already had movies like Star Wars and a couple other franchises out at this point. And when you watch movies like that as a kid, because Star Wars is in space. It's something that doesn't exist. But there's still a part of you as a kid's like, oh, I would love to be a Jedi. But you know it can never happen. Ghostbusters for me was one of the first times in my life that seemed real. Like it was set, these were real people, it was set in a real city, and it made you believe that ghosts really existed. So for the first time in my life, I remember saying, I want to be a Ghostbuster, and actually believing I could be a Ghostbuster at one time. So that was a big thing when it came to being a kid was, yes, Star Wars was fun, Transformers was fun, but these were things that could tangibly never be real. Ghostbusters was the first time in my life I felt like something could be real, even though obviously it couldn't. It still made me believe that I could for the first time in my life.
Yeah, for me, it has always just made me want marshmallows. That's
it. Yep. So... on that note, I want to bring up something real quick, because this is what we were talking about when we were prepping, that I noticed something in this film that I've never noticed before. And it could be something me totally overanalyzing this. But there's a Louis Tully moment when you first meet Louis Tully as the Keymaster. And Raymond Stantz takes him into the basement and he's analyzing him. And he starts telling about the previous incarnations of Gozer. And he says Tor was one of them. The next one was Slore. The third one is a s'more.
yeah.
I never thought about it that much. It stays with the rhyming scheme, but it's marshmallow. It was a Tor, a Slore, and a s'more. Because it's melted marshmallow. There's no chocolate and graham cracker, obviously, but it still can be related.
That's an overanalyzation.
It is an
Hardcore.
overanalyzation.
Yeah,
Exactly.
No lie about it. That's overanalyzing.
But it
things.
still makes me chuckle though thinking
Oh,
about
it's a great gag.
Yeah.
But I can definitely. Yep, that's an overanalyzation.
Okay, all right. Figured as much.
Yes, have some. Yeah.
Yes, have some.
So I think one of the biggest things I picked up from this rewatch of Ghostbusters is I feel it's weird. I almost feel like there's a character flaw. Like they started writing the movie one way and wrote. Wow.
Too much ecto cooler.
Wrote. Why can't I think of the character's name? Venkman. Mm-hmm. His character. Super con artist, like
Oh, yeah.
sleazy. Like I was watching that scene where he's got the two students doing the study, and with shocking the one guy even though he gets it right that one time, and just giving it to the girl every time she gets one wrong, and it's just like, wow, he's really putting it on hard here.
Yeah.
And then when they pull him out of that and they go to the library, it's like they're dragging him along, like he doesn't really believe it himself. And then after the library, he does a complete 180 and says, we need to be Ghostbusters. Here's what we need to do. Ray, you need to go mortgage your house, get a third mortgage on your house. I thought it was interesting actually analyzing it this time, saying, why did he have that change of heart?
Oh, he didn't. It's a get rich quick scheme. He's still a sleazy person.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
it becomes it's like, how do we leverage this to make money?
And you look at the hotel.
And that's what it is.
Okay.
And after at the Sedgwick Hotel, when he's billing the hotel,
That's true. Yep.
he's still adding more. But the best thing about it is that Ray's playing along. Like whether Ray wants to make money too. Like obviously he wants
Ray's
to make
is
money
kind
too.
of like, I just leveraged my family's farm.
Right.
We're in trouble.
Yes, exactly.
He's like, yes. Proton recharging. We're going to do a special this month.
But but going along with the whole Venkman sleaze aspect of it too, like there's the moment when Dana Barrett is already possessed by the gatekeeper, and like he has an opportunity to take advantage of her, and he doesn't do it. Like he says, like no, he's like maybe no, I shouldn't, and he's like I want to talk to Dana. He realizes that something's wrong.
But you know what though? Ultimately, that was a fine line, though, because you think of some of the other movies from this timeline, and Animal House was only a couple years beforehand,
yeah.
and they did go for that, and you're like, oh, you watch that now, and you're like, they really built up the idea of drunken molestation. I mean, and they pulled away from it the last minute, but you're like.
Well, there's that moment,
yeah.
when he says, like, no, I want to talk to Dana, and you're like, okay, maybe he's not a big a sleaze as we make him out to be. And then there's the next scene where he's got her drugged, and she's sitting there, and he's kissing her hand, and he's kissing her shoulder. It's like, no, wait, he's still a little bit of a sleaze. Like, he's kissing her when she's unaware of it, and she's possessed. Mm-hmm. Like, that's just weird. So, but, I mean, there definitely was a little bit of that aspect of Aikman's character.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like I said, stand-up guy, but at the same time, though, too, also not a stand-up guy.
Yeah.
So
But
there's a fine line. There's that fine line. You know what? Like I said, this is going to go back to the previous episode with the Sleepy Hollow stuff. We talked about Brom Bones.
Yeah.
In the classic 1949, where it was good-natured ribbing and mischief, but still was there to defend the people and his friends and family. That's what Venkman is. He's the same kind of idea and concept. He is a very playful little scamp in New York, but he does have he has a line. They make sure he never is an irredeemable character. Like,
That's true. Yep.
You know, they make sure you can connect with him, but it's also the same idea of like you think about like it's a weird kind of correlation to bring up, but like think like Fight Club. It's that Tyler Durden, I'm everything you want to be. You know, this is the way you want to talk, things like that. It's what you look at Venkman, and that's who everybody glued to usually for the most part as kids. Like it was like he's the really fun one. Like he's the goofy one. He's the one that makes you laugh. He's just oozing with self-confidence. When you're older, you're like, oh wow, yeah, this is scheme after scheme after scheme. But still at the same time though, he's still not a bad person.
Yeah.
You know?
But like even when Dana Barrett first comes into the firehouse and like he's in his office in the back, and the moment he hears a woman, he pops up literally like a gopher. Like you can see his head pop up in the back to see who it is and makes his way out. You know, and it's just, and I've also found it interesting too, this is kind of changing the topic a little bit, that they teased a little bit of not necessarily a romantic, but a crush aspect in Janine and Spangler, in which completely gets thrown away in the second film because Lewis is brought into the picture, and there's the romantic element between the two of them, which I think actually worked better.
I agree.
Than her and Spangler.
I mean, Spangler is married to his work.
I was going to say he's asexual.
Yeah.
It just feels the way it is. I mean, we can get to the new movie and find out that is not the case whatsoever. Because I know there's a lot of current thoughts about some of this could be revolving around family.
Yeah.
Some of their family. So. Well, we actually I think also just found out on who Paul Rudd's playing in the new movie though too.
Did we?
Yeah, that was just announced. We'll get into that in a moment or two.
Okay.
But so I gotta ask, who was everybody's favorite ghost in this?
Oh,
because everybody's got a favorite.
That's Slimer.
Slimer,
hands down.
Okay,
it's always been Slimer.
That's a tough call for me. Because I mean, Slimer is obviously the go-to because I think he's the one that's most. He's the one that's most distinguished. And more established than anybody else. I mean, you can go with the Library Ghost too, because it's the first one that you see. However, if you count Stay Puft, I'd go with Stay Puft as my favorite.
There's the one that always was, I think, one of my favorites, which was because it was the creepiest, which was the cabbie. I don't know if like everything starts going completely just in the wrong direction, and you see like everything starting to like impact the city as a whole. Like that was the one that was not a ghost; it was a tangible like corpse driving like this old cab, and you're like, and it creeped me the hell out as a kid. But I love that design; it was so perfect.
Yeah.
But there were so many fun ones though. I love the design of so many. But it's I can never remember the name of the song, but it's when the building, the top of the building explodes. And that song kind of kicks in.
Oh, Magic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It had this beautiful, creepy factor to it, and it still gets under my skin.
That's
a little
a well-known artist too, and I'm going to look it up while you're.
But yeah, it's the way that whole thing sounds, but even just the architecture that you see from the city, the buildings, and like whenever you see those buildings in real life, you're like, that's the Ghostbusters building. I was like, I know that. And like whether it's like Hook and Ladder number 9, that was in New Jersey, or it was Hook and Ladder 9, right?
Yes, Hook and Ladder 9, which is an actual location in New York. Yep.
No, it's New Jersey.
Is it in New Jersey? Okay,
that actual one is in New Jersey.
Are you sure? I could have swore it was in
right over the line. Right
okay.
over the line. And then in addition to, oh my God, the apartment building. The apartment building has shown up in so many things that you will constantly see that. And it's one of my favorites. So like when you see those things are really iconic that like play a part in your childhood, like we were talking before, it kind of transports you back to that. And you're like, oh my God, this skyline of New York from the mid 80s. But this was also that mid 80s New York that was that dirty, terrifying, murdery place versus the tourist trap that we kind of view it a little bit more now. But that was the scary New York. It was really interesting kind of going back to it because when you look at it, it is very, very different.
Hook and Ladder number 8. Number 8. It is on Varick Street in Tribeca. It is in Manhattan.
Oh, it is?
Yes. I thought so because
Okay.
when Paul Rudd announced that he was going to be part of Ghostbusters, that was how he did it. He did a video from in front of Hook and Ladder number 8.
Gotcha.
That was how he revealed he was going to be part of the new Ghostbusters.
Gotcha. Trying to remember that I think there was a location maybe from Jersey that
I think
did
there
some
is,
shooting.
but Hook and Ladder number 8, which they used for
Maybe it was a
Ghostbusters-
shooting location. That might be
Maybe.
what I'm thinking, but
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
It could have been the interiors, maybe that they filmed in a
Maybe.
firehouse.
Maybe, yeah.
Because Hook and Ladder number 8 is an active firehouse.
Yeah.
So they might have only done the exteriors from there, and the interiors were done in another location.
Yeah, no idea.
So, yeah. Well, I mean, you know what? I want to. It's an interesting question, only because I don't really know if there's many options. I was going to say, like, what would be your favorite piece of equipment that they used? But there's really only 3. There's Ecto-1, there's the trap, and there's the proton pack. It wasn't until Ghostbusters 2 that they introduced new.
Well, the
new
PKE
stuff.
meter was in
That's
the first
true,
one.
yeah.
And then like Ray's weird little goggles that we never quite knew what the hell they did. They just looked neat.
Yeah, that's true.
And then like going into the next film, really it's just the slime guns that are the only thing that's new.
Yeah.
But-
It's not until the Ghostbusters reboot that they really introduce
Some new ideas.
Some new ideas.
Yeah.
Like the shredder and some other things.
And there was Venkman's like atomizer type thing where he's just like, he's like, "Are you using that right?"
Which I think to me just kind of looked like a bug spray
Right,
sprayer that
right.
he was just, there was no spray in it. It was just air
Yeah.
that he was putting through. So, which goes into the whole con artist element of Vacant.
It
He
does.
wanted to look like he knew what he was doing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Which, because I don't think he kind of believed at that point.
Yeah, I'm gonna
that-
go to Dana's apartment and check her out.
Yeah.
check out Dana's
Check
apartment.
out his apartment.
I thought the best piece of technology in this one was the the ghost vault. What am I?
The containment
unit,
unit.
Yeah. I mean, that was amazing because it was like, Ray was just like, okay, you put your trap in, you make sure your field is set, and he's going through all this stuff.
Light
And
is
Winston's
green.
When the light is
just-
green, the trap is clean.
Right.
Yeah.
But Winston's just standing there, and I'm just thinking, I'm like, putting myself in his head, like, he's not understanding a word
No.
of this.
I'm already lost. I'm already lost after the second button. I think that brings me to another point. We talked a little bit about this with Casper and the special effects as to whether or not they hold up. This is a movie obviously from 1984, and with the exception of the ghosts and the equipment, there's really not a lot of overdone special effects.
No.
Do we feel like the movie could still technically hold up a little bit?
Yeah,
Because I
mean,
kind of believe
yep.
it does.
I mean, I think honestly, whenever you do films like this nowadays, you do remasters. One of the big things that is the most common giveaways, and one that I can't unsee, is watching Empire Strikes Back. One of the things that's mostly done when you do blue screen and things like this, where you have maquettes, which was like for things like Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, when you have like the minions of Gozer, like the dogs and stuff like that, like you have this stop motion work that's being done that's blue screened in ultimately or overlaid. When you usually do that, you have a matte line around them. You have this thick black line that kind of gives this cartoony appearance, or if it's shot in a different tone, you get kind of like this noise to the image that's overlaid on something else, so it stands out when it's not the same thing. When you go back and get a chance to edit those, you're actually editing two different pieces, two parts of a composite. So it's nowadays it's a lot easier for them to go back, and when they say, hey, we're going to do a 4K remaster or a re-release, that they can go back and look at those pieces and find ways to clean those lines up. And I think with practical effects, it's a lot easier. It's not like you're going back and like, oh crap, like we're talking about remastering Star Wars Episode 1, which I'm sure they're going to do eventually. But like then you have to look at, well, do we go back and fix all the CG that looks dated for the time? Whereas something like this, it's all practical. And I think it's a lot easier to have something that's practical effects last a hell of a lot longer. Where you can do cleanup, you can do color corrections and things like that. But yeah, I think even if you don't do that, you slap this into it, whether it's a DVD, you watch it on streaming, it still looks like a great movie today.
Yeah.
I mean, it's dated. Like, you can definitely tell it's dated. It's a slice of the 80s. I mean,
Yeah.
New York does not look like that anymore.
But I mean, you look at the comparisons from the original Ghostbusters '84 to the new reboot with the girls, and the proton packs haven't changed much. The look of the proton pack has looked, but the effects of the actual stream really isn't much different than what they used in '84.
because it'd be hell to pay.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that too. There was already hell to pay with that movie, and
Yeah.
they would have just made it worse.
But I mean, I think though too, like we talk about the reboot, and I think I don't know what everybody's stance is. I thoroughly enjoyed the reboot.
I did too.
did too.
I really enjoyed the reboot.
I mean, I wouldn't put it in the same level as a classic, but like I still think it's a fun movie. But really, the way that it boils down to, though, in the grand scheme of things, is like when you have those CG ghosts, they just didn't feel the same. It just didn't, something about it just didn't connect in the same way. Like, I know you're still acting to nothing, like the way that they shot the original, but even just the look of it, it just was like, well, it's just another CG fest. This was kind of like, okay, that's something that they shot and then like made it translucent over and like imposed it on this, but something about it felt more real. And I think that's really what it was for me. It just felt, like you put it, it made it feel like ghosts were real. Where the new Ghostbusters was like, nope, ghosts are CG creatures.
It was it was cartoony. It was more
I think that's
cartoony.
what it is. I
Yeah.
think that's what it is.
Going back to what you mentioned about the containment unit too, and I know we're kind of branching off now into like the animated series and the reboots. One of the things I loved about the animated series was we actually got to see inside the containment unit.
Ooh.
Do you not remember
No,
that?
I don't remember
I
that.
totally do.
Yeah, you got to see the world inside the containment unit and where these ghosts were existing. And I think there were even moments where the Ghostbusters went into the containment unit.
I believe so. And one of my other favorite, I know Slimer did. But
Maybe that's what it was.
Ghostbusters also was my first introduction to Miskatonic University in Cthulhu. Also because of the real Ghostbusters animated series, which is crazy to think about, and it's a little messed up. I mean, but it's kind of cool that they were really like, they were a great entry point. But one of the things I think that's fantastic is, well, one of the people that's been responsible for Ghostbusters for so long, Mr. Ray Stantz himself, was a big believer. Like, he actually does.
He believes in the occult.
He's like, he has a vodka company that he named Crystal Head for a reason, because of like legends and lore and all this stuff. Like, he really believes all of this stuff. So they really put some care into some of the lines and the background and history to the things they're talking about.
Well,
so it gives it a realistic feel.
And even in Ghostbusters 2, like, you see he has an occult shop, right?
Ray's Occult, yeah.
Which I think in real life he actually does have a shop.
I would not be surprised.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he does.
Yeah, I believe he does.
It's the very first Jay and Silent Bob Secret Stash, essentially.
Yeah, a little bit.
If you kind of think about it in a way, yeah.
Yeah. So, what are some other elements of the movie, of the original, that maybe we haven't touched on that you guys want to
Honestly, there are some horrifying moments in that film, especially for very young eyes. Like, I think when Dana gets taken in her apartment, is a messed up scene.
Well, it's interesting that the movie itself, it sets itself up as a comedy with some of the stuff that we're getting, but at a certain point, there's like a switch that's flipped, and it goes serious for a while when the ghosts are really starting to come out.
Well, even in the beginning, though, like even the librarian.
The librarian scene in the beginning really had that serious tone, and then they switched off to the more comedy aspects until like the Dana scene, and then the Tully scene, kind of where he's outside the restaurant.
Yeah. There's a bear in my apartment.
But then it still goes back to a little bit comedy here and there until Peck shuts off the containment
And
unit.
then it goes.
And then it's real dark and real serious until they get up to the roof.
Yeah.
When the containment unit blows, you're right. It is this massive tonal shift in the movie. It goes from comedy to a very dark comedy really quickly, and then the comedy kicks back in when they're like, "Okay, we're gonna go mount our fight back moment." But like, you have the streets get ripped apart, like the earthquakes kind of start kicking. Like they bring up the idea of revelations essentially, and it's like, boom, here it is. Here's that moment, and then the moment that there's a giant Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. We know what movie we're still in.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. We're reminded where we are.
Right.
But on top of that too, we talked about how there are definitely adult humor moments in this movie too. We watched it as kids, and the one that sticks out to me the most is Ray's dream.
Remember, family-friendly podcast.
Yes, and that's why I said Ray's dream.
Yes,
Ray has a adult dream about a ghost performing on him. And that's the cleanest I can put it.
I could say two other words, but we're not going to go with that.
Yeah, I mean, and that's another one of those moments that you mentioned, like when you're watching as a kid, they don't show enough of that to make you question it. They just, as kids, we kind of just glance over that.
Yep.
We don't really think about what's happening. And it's not until we hit a certain age and we go back and rewatch it, we're like, wait a minute.
Well, apparently, I think that scene was originally going to be longer, too.
Really?
If memory serves correctly from some things about that. And I think they actually chose to keep it cut down.
Oh.
So I don't know if they ended up shooting more or what, but
I don't know. But it's a moment of revelation when you finally get a little older and you go back and you rewatch that movie, come to that scene, you're like, wait, what? That happened? I don't remember that as a kid. And you realize what's happening in that scene. So,
Yeah. I think the other biggest thing is I think this movie also made every kid in the universe want a fire pole in their house.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because let's be honest, man, the firehouse was one of the coolest, places to live ever.
And I owned it. I owned the toy when
I
I was
did
a kid.
too, yeah.
I owned the firehouse. I owned the Ecto-1.
And that containment unit toy was so freaking cool
Yep.
too, it was just freaking awesome.
I
Loved
had
that.
the proton pack with the little crank on the side
Oh, yeah.
that made the proton
Same here.
that made the beam spin. The trap that actually had a foot pedal that you pushed and it opened up. I had them all.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to be a Ghostbuster. And that
One
was
of my favorites was, honestly, Universal Studios when it first opened up in Florida. They had, I don't know if it was when it first opened or shortly right after, but they had the Ghostbusters stunt show, which they actually did this great live action show with Gozer, with the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, Slimer, all this stuff. And it was exceptional. And I remember because you got to basically, they still have the facade there of Hook and Ladder number 8. Currently, the Rip Rocket roller coaster is going through the top of it. It goes through the opening section, and that's where part of it is. But they had the New York Public Library, all this stuff, which was where the Beetlejuice Graveyard Review, all that stuff used to be at. But it was living Ghostbusters. It was really just, I think, the closest you could get to that now, which is kind of fun because Halloween Horror Nights and Universal right now, they brought Ghostbusters back as one of their mazes this year. And everybody's saying it is phenomenal. And they said it is so just incredibly spot on. And it's so much fun to think about a movie from 1984 has endured this much to the point where people are really excited about, a fourth film, a third one in this original franchise. Mm-hmm. It's now, again, being celebrated again in these ways like Halloween Horror Nights, a remaster of a video game coming out. I'm sure it won't be long before we'll see another new animated series. There's a phone game out there that kind of jumped off the idea of Pokemon Go, all these things back, but nobody would have, I think, ever anticipated this. And think about how much love it got again, though, too, even like Stranger Things Season 2. Mm-hmm. That was the big hit thing for the kids in that.
And they were all the same character.
Yeah.
I think they were all Venkman, weren't they?
Well, 2 of them were Venkman, because Lucas and I think and Dustin both had the Venkman patch.
That's right, yeah.
And Lucas was like, I'm not going to be Winston just because I'm black. It's like kind of like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else? I mean, when it comes to that, obviously you mentioned the video game and the new there's a new animated series. Is there anything else you would like to see Ghostbusters kind of be a part of? Because I know personally, I'd love to see a VR game.
Well, there is a VR thing.
Oh, there is.
There is a VR thing that's in Madame Tussauds in New York. And that's one of those ones that is one of those super over-the-top experiences where it's like $40 or $50 a person. You have a backpack that is actually housing a small computer that you have your VR rig in, but I think it's like a 10 or 15 minute experience where it is room scale VR, where you're walking around a room with items that are not really anything special, but you're seeing them through the VR lens, and they look like more realistic things. So you get out to points where you're shimmying across, I think, like a window ledge that makes you feel like you're like on a 40th floor of a high rise in Manhattan fighting ghosts and such.
I would pay $40 to do that. I would try that to get to be a Ghostbuster for 15 minutes.
There's a Star Wars one, I think, too. I don't know if they're doing that at the Madame Tussauds there as well, but I do know the Ghostbusters one was going on for some time. But I forget the name of the company. I think it's Kenny talked about it a couple episodes ago. It's on the theme park episode of Caffeine Crew, where we talk about that in Interactive Geek Experiences, but he brings up the name of the company and such. But everybody says it's supposed to be an amazing kind of concept. But I would love to see something like that.
That'd be cool, yeah. Bill, anything you can think of that you maybe want to see it incorporated into?
Yeah, I'd always go back to why don't we see a Ghostbusters MMO where you have to build up your own like Ghostbuster company and then hire people.
That'd be kind of cool.
I mean, it would be kind of more like a simulation game. Actually, that would be a great idea. A simulation game. So like SimCity, but Ghostbusters.
Yeah, that could work too.
Yeah.
Build up your franchise.
Right. Build up your franchise.
Station people for different areas of the city to make sure that they're capturing ghosts there. Mm-hmm. Deal with your budget to make sure your containment grid can get upgraded so you don't blow up part of the city.
It's kind of similar to the Jurassic World game that came out where you build your own park.
Which is actually incredibly good.
It is a really good game.
Because it was also made by the people that, have the guys that did Planet Coaster make that game. Because, that's freaking awesome. I would love it.
You either could work with or pay off the EPA.
Yeah.
Bring in Gregory Peck.
I know-
Not Gregory Peck.
Not Gregory Peck.
I was going to say,
Peck.
wait a second.
Ed?
Wrong.
Ed.
Is
Who's
it Ed Peck?
Walter Peck.
Walter Peck.
Walter Peck.
That's right.
Gregory Peck is a completely different person.
Yeah, William Atherton.
Yes.
who played that character.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and played it beautifully as a
Amazingly,
dish.
yeah.
I love the fact that he comes back in the video game too,
Yep.
in the basically essentially Ghostbusters 3.
Yeah.
The fact that they brought him in was just amazing.
And then you know what? And that was really the one thing that sold me on that video game too, was when they said like, this is basically what we had for Ghostbusters 3. We're just making it a video game. And I'm like, oh okay, I'm in. Like that's enough for me. You know, you're a new trainee and you're going through, and it revisits a lot of that from the original '84 Ghostbusters, and I loved it. I can't wait to play it again.
I'm really going to get my hands on it.
It's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
It's super fun. It plays a little weird, not going to lie. The controls are a little funky.
Well, I think they did a lot of correcting of that in the remaster too.
Hopefully.
So, yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then again, there's the second movie too, which is just awesome. But I mean, like I said, we don't really have time to kind of get into it. Like I said, we're already a little over.
But I enjoyed the second movie.
It's a fun flick.
Yeah.
still.
I mean, Statue of Liberty walking through New York is always fun.
Yeah, especially with an NES Advantage controller using to control it,
Yes.
which was kind of amazing.
Exactly.
And that was not one, but two references to the NES in that film, because that was Lewis's big move with Janine. Was, do you want to stay in tonight and just play Mario Brothers?
That's right. I forgot
So-
about that. So I guess we got to give it a ranking, obviously, and we'll turn it over to Bill for that too. Trick or treat. I think I know where we all stand with this.
It's a treat. It's definitely a treat.
Yeah, high treat for me as well.
It is a trick. I thought ghosts were real. No, definitely a treat. It's still one of my absolute favorite movies, and it's not just a Halloween movie for me. That is hey, I really just want a good laugh and enjoy watching a movie, and
Yeah.
anytime I will happily throw that in. That was one of those VHS tapes when I was growing up. If it was not Star Wars, Indiana Jones, it was probably Ghostbusters. So it was my go-to.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and even Ghostbusters 2, I'll still go back.
Dude,
and rewatch
Ghostbusters
it.
2 is a creepy movie.
but it's fun.
Oh yeah, but I'm saying it's a creepy movie. But we'll save that for maybe next year.
Yeah, maybe.
So-
I guess to kind of wrap things off, any other like ghost movies you guys can think of that kind of stand the test of time and that were like favorites of yours?
You know, I would actually say for me, it's a gimme, but I'm going to say go, if you haven't given it a chance, go watch Ghostbusters the reboot. You know, I think it's really a different film, but there's a lot of love to the property, and I think it's well worth your time.
So I'm going to go off and not go family friendly here. But
Yeah, it doesn't have to be family friendly.
13 Ghosts.
Is another good one.
Amazing. And I've only seen it a handful of times.
Matthew Lillard's
but
a rock star in that movie.
Matthew
I love him
Lillard,
in that.
Tony Shalhoub, like
I think Shannon Elizabeth
Yep.
is in that as well.
it's frightening. Like it's actually it's a scary movie that I will watch.
Yeah.
And that's saying something.
Actually, I do have another one that it borderlines on family friendly.
Oh, the one I have, I don't think is family friendly at all. And mine is The Frighteners.
I was going to say the Frighteners,
Okay.
and I was like, it's like it borderlines because
Yeah.
for them, it's not vicious, but I will say the Frighteners is a great, wonderful like new, like young adult, probably like if you're like maybe ballpark, say like 13, 14 years
Yep.
old, it's like a perfect.
And early Peter Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah.
So Frighteners would be mine too. Sixth Sense would be another one, a little bit, but that's more. I don't think there's anything that's more creepy than anything else. I think.
I guess so.
Yeah. But I think that's it.
Yeah.
For this one.
I think so. I think we're wrapped up, and we went a little longer than we anticipated, but like
That's
I
all
said,
right.
yeah, we're good.
We were talking about two good ones. So
Yeah, I think we
works out.
also went off on some tangents too. So
Yeah,
it's
which
fine.
I knew was going to happen. I mean,
Oh, yeah,
when
yeah.
you're talking about a franchise like Ghostbusters, it's bound to happen because
Mm-hmm.
we're concentrating on one movie, but there's so much out there that you can touch on.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, before we get out of here, big special thanks to our good friends at This Way to the Egress. So, like I said, you get to hear their music at the start and stop of this. And so, big special thanks to Sarah and Taylor and the rest of the band over there. Please head over to www.thiswaytotheegress. That's EGRESS.com. You can check out all of their projects they're currently working on, visit their merch store, or join up with their Patreon to get some really cool things that they're doing currently between now through October. But as always, Bill, special thanks to you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And with that, we'll be back next week for something completely different.
Are we not going to plug our website at all?
I mean, you can.
I'll just do it real quick. thenextlevelnetwork.com, facebook.com/thenextlevelnetwork for
Awesome.
all other podcasts on the network.
Yeah, cool. And then, just stay tuned for another chapter next week. I'm sorry, I was just on a roll, and I'm like, cool, I'm
It's fine.
tired.
I kind of interrupted it and ruined the flow, but it's all right.
It is fine. My brain's just, I'm exhausted.
Too much ecto-cooler.
Yeah, too much. Way too much.
But yeah, that's going to wrap it up.
Yeah, so with that, we'll see you guys next week for another chapter of Still Afraid of the Dark.
Bye.
Bye.